I personally, I'm not going to get out here and make a pass at the S10 because some of the people we have to race are here.
We need to balance the maximum power we know we can put to any road against any opponent.
And got even a closer look at the all-new Goliath, and that bad boy's mean.
David "Daddy Dave" Comstock, the fearless star of Discovery Channel's Street Outlaws, has spent decades mastering speed, danger, and loyalty in the underground racing world, but nothing could prepare him for what he just uncovered. Hidden betrayals, deliberate sabotage, and secret schemes have been lurking within his own crew, threatening to tear everything apart. This is more than a racing drama. This is a revelation that could change the streets forever. But what did Dave discover? Who is involved? And how far will the fallout reach? This is the story. The unexpected midnight revelation. At exactly 2:41 a.m., the silence of Oklahoma City was shattered by a call that would ripple through the crew like a thunderclap. Daddy Dave's voice came through the line, calm and measured, yet carrying a weight that made every word impossible to ignore. It wasn't fear, and it wasn't anger. It was a certainty. He had discovered something undeniable, something that could change everything they had built together over the years. This was not a hunch. This was evidence. A few miles away, in a quiet garage tucked on the outskirts of the city, the air felt heavy with tension. Fluorescent lights flickered above a folding table littered with documents, photographs, spreadsheets, and handwritten notes. Each piece told a story of its own, but together, they painted a picture that was impossible to dismiss. Financial statements revealed payments that didn't add up, cash movements that seemed calculated, almost surgical. Race results and data logs hinted at timing inconsistencies, strange mechanical failures, and decisions that appeared eerily orchestrated. Engines had stalled at the worst possible moments. Competitors seemed to know exactly what the crew intended before the first wheel ever spun. Dave's fingers traced line after line of evidence, his eyes narrowing as he pieced together the puzzle. Patterns emerged, not as accidents, but as deliberate moves designed to weaken their team from within. Each revelation cut deeper until the most devastating truth arrived. A name, not an outsider, not a casual rival. This was someone they had trusted, someone who had been part of the inner circle, someone they had called family. In that instant, a chill ran through Dave. The brotherhood, the bond, the family they had forged on late-night streets and under garage lights. Everything suddenly felt fragile. Betrayal was no longer a theory. It was real. And now, holding that knowledge, Dave understood that nothing would ever be the same. The team they had relied on, the crew they had fought for, and the trust they had shared might already be fractured beyond repair, leaving them to confront a truth that had been hiding in plain sight all along. Daddy Dave stumbled upon a document that challenged everything he thought he knew about his team. But what does this discovery mean for them? Will it bring the crew closer together, or will it drive a wedge between them? Let's find out. The fallout inside the crew. By the time the sun rose over Oklahoma City, whispers had become shouts, and the news of Daddy Dave's discovery hung in the air like a thick, suffocating fog. The crew assembled, but the energy that usually carried laughter, confidence, and camaraderie had vanished. The playful banter that once bounced around garages and streets was replaced by tension so palpable it could almost be touched. Eyes darted nervously, hands fidgeted, and every glance seemed loaded with suspicion. Some crew members immediately threw their weight behind Dave, unable to ignore the clarity and depth of the evidence he had uncovered. Every detail, the financial records, the manipulated race outcomes, the patterns that now screamed of sabotage, was meticulously documented. For them, loyalty to the truth outweighed personal ties. Others, however, hesitated, torn between allegiance to the crew's history and the horror of accusing one of their own. To question a brother felt like betrayal. a line that was almost impossible to cross. Voices grew louder. Accusations ricocheted through the garage, dredging up old disagreements and long-forgotten grudges. Chief, calm and deliberate, observed quietly, measuring the reactions and weighing the documents before him. Monza's silence was unusual and heavy, a rare pause in a man known for his constant presence. Murder Nova demanded answers, his intensity slicing through the uncertainty, insisting that clarity be brought to the chaos. Dave felt the weight of a decision that surpassed any high-speed chase or life-or-death race he had faced. Should he contain the storm, protect the crew's image, and try to handle the betrayal internally? Or should he expose the truth to the wider world, risking the destruction of everything they had built over years of sweat, strategy, and trust? Regardless of the path chosen, one thing was certain: the damage had already begun. Relationships strained, loyalties questioned, and the very foundation of the brotherhood they had cherished was under siege, leaving Dave to navigate a maze of loyalty, anger, and uncertainty with no guarantees of safety or resolution. The discovery is creating tension among loyal team members, as it is hard to grasp that betrayal could come from within. But what was the team like in its early days? Could this crisis have been predicted based on how they operated? Now, let's explore a home built on speed, risk, and trust. A brotherhood built on trust. Long before cameras rolled and reality TV fame elevated them to national attention, the crew was nothing more than a handful of racers chasing the thrill of speed under the wide open skies of Oklahoma. Nights were spent in cramped garages, where the smell of gasoline mingled with the tang of metal and sweat, and every sound of a wrench turning or engine revving was a note in their unspoken symphony of ambition. They built their machines from scratch, tested engines in the dead of night, and learned quickly that every failure carried a lesson, and every victory a reason to celebrate together. In this world, trust wasn't a casual idea. It was survival. On streets where a single mistake could cost more than pride, sometimes lives, reliance on one another wasn't optional. Every member was a link in a chain, and the strength of that chain determined their fate. Tools were shared freely, secrets were exchanged without hesitation, and risks were taken together, each act cementing the bond that set them apart from the rest. Over the years, this bond transformed into something unshakable, a foundation no one could break. To outsiders, they looked fierce, unstoppable, and relentlessly competitive. But inside, they were more than teammates. They were brothers. They shared every risk, every victory, and every secret, forming a family built as much on loyalty as on skill. That loyalty was tested in ways the world would never witness, forging a connection stronger than any challenge, any rival, or any obstacle that came their way. It is precisely this history, this closeness, forged through sweat, speed, and shared stakes, that makes the discovery Daddy Dave has uncovered so devastating. This betrayal isn't just about races lost or engines sabotaged. It's about the trust that held their brotherhood together, the invisible glue that kept them safe, strong, and united. When that trust is broken, the impact cuts far deeper than asphalt or metal. It strikes at the heart of everything they've built, challenging not just their skills on the track, but the very foundation of their family. Beyond building a formidable team grounded in risk, speed, and trust, what could have shaken Daddy Dave, the team's leader? Now, let's explore his sheer resilience and unshakable determination. Daddy Dave's legacy and the weight he carries. Daddy Dave built his reputation through sheer resilience and unshakable determination. Setbacks didn't break him, they forged him. Nowhere is this more evident than the devastating crash he survived in 2015. Driving a GMC Sonoma at high speed, the truck rolled over 6 times before crashing into a wall. Dave suffered a serious concussion, fractured shoulders, and lung injuries. The vehicle, worth around $150,000, was reduced to twisted metal beyond repair. Only his safety helmet and instincts spared his life. Recovering from that accident required months of painful physical therapy, mental fortitude, and relentless focus. Each day was a battle against injury, fear, and the shadow of mortality. Yet Dave returned to racing, not broken, but stronger, proving to everyone, and to himself, that no challenge could define him or stop him. But his legacy isn't built on surviving crashes alone. Leadership carries its own invisible burdens. Fans expect victories. Teammates rely on his judgment. Decisions must be made when others hesitate. Over the years, Dave became more than a driver. He became the stabilizing force, the unmovable center of the crew. He absorbed their fears, shouldered their doubts, and became the one they trusted when tension ran high. Now, that same sense of responsibility has placed him in the center of a crisis that could redefine everything. The stakes are no longer measured in seconds or horsepower, but in loyalty, trust, and the fragile bonds of a brotherhood he spent decades building. Surviving the physical dangers of the track was one thing. Navigating betrayal from within the crew is a test of endurance, courage, and integrity on a level few could ever comprehend. Through all of it, one truth remains. Daddy Dave is the kind of man who doesn't back down, whether facing a life-threatening crash or confronting the fractures hidden beneath the surface of his racing family. His legacy is one of strength, resilience, and the heavy weight of responsibility, a burden he carries with unwavering resolve. But what made him so unbreakable? Was it his background that shaped him, or did he forge this strength over time on his own? Let's find out. The early life and rise of Daddy Dave. Daddy Dave, whose real name is David Comstock, entered the world on the 4th of April, 1973, in the small city of Shawnee, Oklahoma. Born into a family where hard work, ambition, and quiet determination were part of daily life, he grew up alongside siblings who shared the rhythms of a household shaped by love, guidance, and the hum of engines. From an early age, Dave was captivated by cars. He spent hours staring at his father Peter's Chevrolet Impala, tracing its curves, inhaling the smell of gasoline and leather, imagining the roar of its engine beneath his hands. That childhood fascination quickly became a passion that would define his life. By his teenage years, he was already behind the wheel, feeling the thrill of speed, the exhilaration of control, and the challenge of mastering a machine that demanded respect. Dave's fascination with cars naturally evolved into a pursuit of racing. Starting from modest beginnings, he honed his skills in local circuits and streets, driven by a combination of raw talent, relentless practice, and an unshakable desire to compete. His first glimpse of television came in 2009 with the reality show Pinks, where he showcased his skill, precision, and fearless driving. Although this initial exposure didn't immediately catapult him to stardom, it set the wheels of his future in motion, giving him a taste of the platform that awaited him. The true turning point came when Dave joined the Discovery Channel's Street Outlaws. Here, he crossed paths with Justin Shearer, famously known as Big Chief. Together, they forged a partnership that became legendary in the underground racing world, combining strategy, instinct, and raw talent. Street Outlaws offered more than just a spotlight. It provided a stage for Dave to display not only his driving skill, but his unwavering determination, sharp instincts, and natural leadership. His journey from a small-town kid obsessed with engines to a national racing figure captured the imagination of audiences, transforming a lifelong passion into a career that would inspire and enthrall fans across the country. Beyond Daddy Dave, building his passion from childhood with his father's Chevrolet Impala, were there signs pointing to his discovery? Were they noticed and considered, or simply dismissed? Let's unravel the details. The signs no one wanted to see. In hindsight, the warning signs were all around, subtle but persistent, whispering a truth no one dared to face. Timing discrepancies that seemed insignificant at first began to stand out. Private conversations would abruptly halt whenever certain people entered the room, leaving a chill of unspoken tension. Financial transactions that should have raised eyebrows were casually dismissed as routine, and race losses that fell off were shrugged away as unlucky nights on the street. Everyone wanted to trust their brothers, and in a world built on loyalty, questioning someone felt like betrayal. But Dave couldn't ignore what his instincts were telling him. Each small oddity, when placed side by side, began to paint a troubling picture. Fractions of seconds lost in races weren't mere coincidences. Meetings happening behind closed doors with no explanation weren't just routine business. Unexpected mechanical failures didn't feel random anymore. What had once appeared like isolated incidents now revealed themselves as pieces of a larger calculated puzzle, as though someone had been quietly manipulating events from within. The reality hit harder as Dave connected the dots. This wasn't luck or accident. This was intentional. Someone, or perhaps multiple people, had been undermining the team slowly and carefully, weaving deception into what everyone thought was a trusted brotherhood. The very foundation of trust they had built over years of sweat, nights in garages, and victories on the street was under threat. No longer could these signs be ignored, brushed off, or rationalized away. Each small clue, previously overlooked in the rush of daily racing life, now demanded attention. The pieces of the puzzle were clear, and the implications were staggering. What was once invisible had become undeniable. For Daddy Dave, this meant that the path ahead was no longer about speed, strategy, or skill alone. It was about uncovering truth, confronting betrayal, and preparing for the chaos that would inevitably follow. The quiet, hidden cracks in the crew's world had grown into a fracture that could no longer be hidden. Choices had to be made, consequences faced, and loyalty tested in ways that would change everything. The clues to Daddy Dave's discovery were there from the start, but they were ignored. Now that they can no longer be dismissed, what steps will Daddy Dave take? Will his approach be decisive enough to control the fallout? Now, let's explore how he is confronting the challenges head-on. The legal storm and its consequences. Once Daddy Dave made the decision to take formal action, the situation quickly outgrew the walls of the garage and the confines of the crew. What had started as a private, internal crisis became something much bigger, far-reaching, and impossible to control. Lawyers were called in to assess the evidence and advise on legal strategy. Investigators began combing through financial records, race data, and communications. Every email, every transaction, every inconsistency was scrutinized, turning a personal matter into a complex, high-stakes legal battle. News traveled fast. Within hours, the racing community reacted with a mixture of awe, shock, and outrage. Many supporters hailed Dave as brave, someone willing to stand up for truth and protect the integrity of the sport. Yet, not everyone agreed. Critics accused him of tearing apart the family he had spent years building, questioning whether exposing the betrayal was worth the cost. Online, social media buzzed with speculation. Stories grew faster than facts, and every post, comment, and rumor fueled the tension. The tension grew with each passing day. Evenings that used to be filled with the hum of engines, friendly debates, and late-night tuning in the garage were gone. They were replaced by endless phone calls to lawyers, tense conversations about what might happen, and painstaking planning for every possible outcome. Headlines in local and national media dissected every move, speculating wildly. Reporters demanded explanations, but no answer could calm the growing storm. The pressure wasn't just on Daddy Dave, it weighed on the entire crew, changing everything they knew. This was no longer merely about personal betrayal or internal missteps. It had become a matter of accountability, testing the limits of loyalty, trust, and justice. The consequences of each decision were profound, touching everyone involved and potentially reshaping the underground racing world they had known. For Daddy Dave, the path forward required courage, precision, and the willingness to face fallout that could upend careers, friendships, and the very foundations of the crew. The cost of seeking the truth was clear in every tense meeting, every scrutinized record, and every headline rippling through the racing community. But what are the implications of uncovering this truth? Will the team ever remain united after such decisive action? Let's uncover the astonishing details. What remains after the reckoning? Time has a way of moving forward, indifferent to chaos, betrayal, or heartbreak. Investigations will eventually reach their conclusions. Legal decisions will be handed down. Some truths will be confirmed, others quietly buried in paperwork. Life will continue, and the world of underground racing will push on. But the crew that once shared carefree nights of engine tests and adrenaline-fueled wins will never again experience the innocence of those early days. The carefree laughter, the unquestioned loyalty, the unshakable sense of family, those have been forever altered. Trust, once assumed, must now be rebuilt painstakingly, brick by brick. Every deal, every agreement, every partnership will be examined with a level of scrutiny that never existed before. A casual nod or a quick handshake will no longer carry the weight it once did. Decisions that used to be made instinctively now require caution and careful thought. The lessons learned from betrayal have permanently reshaped the way the crew operates, forcing them to navigate a world where loyalty must be proven rather than taken for granted. For Daddy Dave, the emotional scars are permanent. Some will see him as the man who fractured a family, who shattered bonds that had taken years to build. Others will honor him as the voice of reason, the one who refused to allow corruption, deceit, and hidden agendas to fester in silence. He carries both roles simultaneously, the outsider and the protector, the whistleblower and the stabilizer. That duality will follow him for the rest of his life. And yet, life in the streets will not pause. Engines will fire, tires will squeal, the rush of speed and the thrill of competition will return, louder than ever. But the brotherhood that survives this reckoning will be different, tougher, sharper, and far wiser. Bonds will no longer be built on blind trust, but on understanding, accountability, and resilience. Every race, every decision, every night spent under the glow of headlights will carry the memory of what they endured. The discovery that threatened to destroy them has left a mark, and while it could not erase their passion for racing, it has forever changed the way they navigate the road ahead. So, what do you make of Daddy Dave's shocking discovery? Can the team hold together after everything that is known? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.